If you have heard of action figures, then you must be a child of the 70s and 80s, interested in reliving the glory days of your youth. Do you remember the excitement of opening a new action figure, the adventures you created in your imagination, and the countless hours spent playing with these plastic heroes? Well, get ready to take a trip down memory lane as we explore the world of action figures through the years, from the 1970s to the 1980s. Back in the early 70s, action figures were not much different from Barbie dolls. They had the same doll-like appearance, just with more facial hair and different shirts. But then, in 1974, everything changed. Batman and other superheroes started appearing on store shelves, and soon after, Star Wars unleashed a tidal wave of action figures from movies and TV shows. Generation Zers like myself couldn't get enough of them. In 1975, action figures took a big leap forward. Figures like Shazam and Planet of the Apes brought a new level of excitement to the toy aisle. Suddenly, non-military figures were everywhere, and a new world of play was opened up for us 70s kids. Who could forget the real-life superhero, Evel Knievel? Every kid idolized him, and his action figure was a prized possession. And then there were Big Jim and Big Jack, sporting their skimpy star-spangled tighty-whities. Did they not come with actual clothing? It's a mystery. But it wasn't just superheroes and daredevils that captured our imaginations. The $6 Million Man was a phenomenon, with action figures, lunchboxes, and even a CB headset. And let's not forget the Micronauts, those tiny figures that had their start in Japan and were licensed by Mego in 1976. Now, here's a surprise. Starsky and Hutch, a very grown-up TV show, had action figures and lunchboxes targeted at kids. Who would have thought? And look, ISIS has joined the product line. I bet many of us were hopelessly in love with Joanna Cameron. But the real game-changer came in 1977 when Star Wars arrived. Kenner had the foresight to pick up the toy line, and it became a phenomenon. However, they were woefully unprepared for the demand, and it wasn't until 1978 that the figures were widely available. Kenner sold 40 million units that year, making a staggering $100 million in revenue. The Star Wars craze continued with the release of The Empire Strikes Back, and even minor characters like IG-88 became treasured collectibles. But other franchises tried to fill the void, like Buck Rogers, Flash Gordon, and Battlestar Galactica. While they couldn't quite match the popularity of Star Wars, the demand for sci-fi action figures was still strong. Meanwhile, Mego, the company that turned down the Star Wars deal, was about to declare bankruptcy. But Mattel saw an opportunity and introduced Masters of the Universe in 1981. With no mass media connection initially, it was just an imaginative action figure line. But it struck a chord with youngsters, and eventually, it became a massive franchise with comic books, cartoons, and even a movie. Marvel finally joined the action figure market, giving DC some competition. And as the 80s progressed, the market exploded with Thundercats, Transformers, Ghostbusters, Rambo, and many more. The days of being stuck with plastic army men and a furry-headed G.I. Joe were long gone. There was an endless buffet of action figure choices on the shelves. And now, as we reach the end of our journey, it's time to bid farewell to the action figure train. It's been a fun ride, from G.I. Joe and Captain Kirk to He-Man and Mr. T. So let's savor these old photos and reminisce about that era. The most exciting part is still ahead, so let's immerse ourselves in the images and relive the plastic power of action figures through the years. Cheers to the memories.